All right, so let's see. Gotta make sure this is okay. But hold on a second, guys. We're gonna get started in a second, but I gotta see something real quickly. All right, let's see.
One second, guys.
All right, so I can kind of see everything now. Now that I'm in the hangout, but what's going on, guys? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with thousands of True School Sports subscribers. We are live on Google Hangout, so I hope everybody's having a great Friday afternoon, no matter what corner of the world you're watching this from currently. But I'm just trying to make sure that this is okay, like the actual live hangout is good. Right now my internet's tripping. But anyway, basically, guys, I'm making a pound-for-pound list. As you guys may or may not remember, back in August, I did a pound-for-pound list. Since then, we had the big Kovalev-Ward fight. That's left a lot of uncertainty as to who falls where in boxing. And now with Lomachenko fighting and having a great performance against Nicholas Walters, a lot of people have been elevating him up on their own personal pound-for-pound list. So that being said, we're going to get into all the particulars. When I put a fighter on the list, I'll tell you guys where I had him last time. Because last time I did this, I had some really bad omissions, guys who should have been on the list that I just forgot about. So this one I took a little bit more time to think about. And we're going to start as far as the landscape of boxing, who falls where. Hold on. Hold on, man. My internet's tripping. Let's see. Sucks. Anyway, all right. All right, we'll try it. We'll I don't know if this is working, so maybe you guys, if you're in the chat, you can tell me if this internet connection is working, because I'm looking at it and I can't necessarily tell what's where. But anyway, we'll get into the honorable mention, because that's where we're going to start. So I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I got about 12 fighters who are on the cusp of cracking my top 10, and I'm just going to go through them really quickly and just talk about them a little bit. So we'll start from the bottom. From the bottom, we have Oleksandr Usyk, who will be fighting on the Bernard Hopkins undercard. Now, Usyk is from the Ukraine. He's looking like one of the more dominant forces at cruiserweight with less than 10 fights, and he already picked up a pretty dominant victory over the likes of a Krzysztof Golovkin. And people are gonna, who don't only fall cruiserweights like that, because there's not really any dominant Americans in the division. They're gonna look at that and they may not understand the importance of it. But keep in mind, Krzysztof Golovkin was a guy who pulled off a really great upset against Marco Huck. Marco Huck is arguably the second or the best, or top 3 cruiserweight. Maybe some would argue he's the best due to his title defense. So Usyk beat Golovkin, made it look rather easy. So I got him on the list. He'll be attempting to prove himself, and a lot of people think he's the cream of the crop as far as the cruiserweight division is concerned. After him, we have Errol Spence. I'm making no secret how high I rate Errol Spence. I think he's going to be a great fighter. I think one day he will crack the top 10, but right now he's not there. We're looking at, for Spence, we're looking at maybe a fight for the IBF title against Kell Brook. And to be honest, I picked Kell Brook to win that fight. So if Spence is to beat Kell Brook, I would have to really consider putting him at number 10. But he's on the cusp. I got Timothy Bradley as well, who's kind of, he lost to Pacquiao, and he's been rather inactive this year, so that's why he's lost his spot. But hopefully next year from Tim, we get to see some good things from him. And just seeing him more active again, seeing Bradley more active in the sport again. After Tim, we got Jorge Linares, who picked up a big win over Anthony Corrala earlier this year, and is probably, I would say, one of the best fighters at 130, easily for sure. And, there's some big fights on the table for him. After him, I have Anthony Joshua, who is fighting Eric Molina really soon. And Joshua, pound for pound wise, he's going to have to do a little bit more. But I have him on the cusp just because I feel like eventually he's going to rise to the ranks and prove himself to be the best heavyweight in the world. That's just honestly how I feel about Goss. By the way, all right, hold on. I'm going to take a break from talking, but I'm looking at the chat right now. What's up, Precise? What's up, Precise? Hope all is well. Great videos, by the way. I just watched your Granato's video this morning. A lot of great stuff. Shout out to Reverse Lee. Thank you for always watching the videos, man. I always appreciate your comments. You always bringing that knowledge to the table. But back to the on the cusp. I wanted to talk about after Joshua. I have James DeGale. I want to go through quickly because I don't want to keep talking too much. But James DeGale, he's got a big fight coming up soon. Danny Garcia. You have Keith Thurman, Carlos Cuadras, who had a great performance against Gonzalez, but came up short. Kell Brook, Francisco Vargas. And then my two guys that I'm actually removing off my initial pound-for-pound list that I did back in August will be Frampton and Guillermo Rigondeaux. And you know, those are the only two omissions, and I moved a couple guys up and a couple guys down. But you'll see as we go through the list. So let's just get into the top 10. I gave you guys my on the cusp. I'll go through them one more time before we get into the top 10. On the cusp of my top 10 pound-for-pound are Oleksandr Usyk, Errol Spence, Timothy Bradley, Jorge Linares, Anthony Joshua, James DeGale, Keith Thurman, Carlos Cuadras, Danny Garcia, Kell Brook, Francisco Vargas, Frampton, and Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now, we'll start with number 10. Before I look at number 10, okay, I'm just looking at the chat. But we'll start with number 10. Number 10 on my pound-for-pound list. And look, keep in mind, guys, that when I'm doing this, you know, some of these picks I'm making against my own, some of these guys that I'm putting in my top 10 are against my own will, even if I really, really don't like them. And because I really didn't want to do this, but I'm doing it just to be fair. Because he was able to show championship medal in this fight, although he didn't box within the rules, I'm going to respect the judge's decision, and I'm going to put Andre Ward at number 10. I'm putting Andre Ward at number 10. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't think he's a pound-for-pound fighter in terms of his skill set, but just because he got off the canvas and he had some good moments, I would say like around 7, 8, 9-ish, I'm gonna put him 10 because, you know, just to not get knocked out by Kovalev, to continue to, you know, show some toughness and just some championship medal, and based on what he's done in the past, it won't be very hard for me to take him off of number 10 should he not fight or duck Kovalev, because I have no problem doing that. But I'm just going to show him a little teensy tiny bit of respect, and I'm going to put him at number 10. All right, so Ward is 10. I don't really want to talk too much about Ward because I've been talking about Andre Ward way too much, and I know Precise is going to be like, oh, you put him on number 10. He doesn't deserve to be number 10, but I'm disrespecting the judge's decision. And he's not better than a lot of the guys who are on the cusp, but the resume and just being able to have some good moments against Kovalev and not get knocked out like many people have been. I gotta at least show him a little bit of respect and put him number 10. But should he duck Kovalev, I'll have no problem taking his ass off. I will have no problem, you know, if he fights a can, taking him off. I don't like Andre Ward. A lot of you guys know that, but he wasn't ranked last time, so I'm gonna show him a little bit of respect because he's on most people's pound list. And I will put him at number 10 very reluctantly, although I do think Frampton is more worthy than he is. So it is what it is there. All right, so moving on from Andre Ward because I really don't want to talk about him too much. Number 9, we have Nayoa Inoue. I moved him down because I had to put somebody in that I'll talk about later that I missed last time. But number 9 is Nayoa Inoue. I had a number 8 last time, and he's supposedly supposed to be fighting in December. I forget who he's fighting, but in December he's supposed to fight. And obviously for Inoue, the jury's still out on how great he is. A lot of people want to see the Gonzalez fight. A lot of people want to see him fight, you know, Estrada or Cuadras. I would like to see him fight any one of the other big 3 or the other big 4, I should say, at 115. And I think with what he's been able to do so far in boxing, you know, jumping up weight classes, stopping Omar Narvaez, things of that nature, just that speaks to his skills. So Inoue is number 9. Number 8 is Juan Francisco Estrada, the best and most skilled Mexican fighter in the world today. Estrada, you know, is someone who, in his career, has been a unified champion. Gave Romo Gonzalez a great run for his money. Beat Brian Valoria. And as far as Estrada, look, I don't know if I'm cutting in and out, so I apologize if I am. But I'm trying to do this video to the best of my ability. But as far as Estrada, The number one fight I want to see from, because a lot of people are clamoring for the Chocolatito rematch, which I wouldn't mind seeing, obviously. But to be honest, I kind of want to see Estrada versus Cuadras a little bit more than I want to see Cuadras or Estrada versus Roman, because I feel like that just would be a great fight. Both those guys are great on their front foot. Both of them are two really skilled fighters. And I feel like, the fact that Roman's beat both of them already, I feel like those two right there should fight for the right to fight Gonzalez. And I would like to see Gonzalez fight Inoue next year. That's just how I feel. But Estrada has definitely displayed great pound-for-pound skills, the ability to counterpunch, the ability to just get better and progress as the years have gone on. He's been a rather dominant fighter at the weight class, and now he's looking to do some pretty big things at the 115-pound division. So I got Estrada at number 7, or number 8, I should say. I have it at number 8. Number 7 is someone that I didn't have on the list the first time, which I felt so bad about because I kind of rushed and put together my list. But number 7, he wasn't ranked last time, but he's ranked number 7 this time because of my own ignorance last time. Number 7, I have Shinsuke Yamanaka. And I'll tell you why. Because when you look at, as far as right now, dominant champions, guys who have dominated or fought very well year after year after year, Yamanaka is right there in the top 3 as far as longest reigning champions in boxing. He has to be the second longest reigning champion in boxing, because I know Golovkin has 17 title defenses. Yamanaka has 11. So he has the second most title defenses in boxing. He's got a pretty solid resume, beating the likes of Victor Chinian and Samuel Moreno. The guy has proven himself to be a worthy fighter of being on my personal pound-for-pound list. So Yamanaka, what's next for him? To be honest, I made the video recently that I want to see Rigondeaux and Yamanaka fight. I still do. I think that would be a great fight. And plus, Rigo can't get any fights in the States anyway because promoters won't put the money behind him. But I would love to see that fight. And if Rigo can win against Yamanaka, then he gets back on my pound-for-pound list because he's been inactive. He hasn't really fought anybody, and it's just an excuse. And we see Rigo more on Twitter than we do in the ring. And because we see Rigo on Twitter more in the ring, it's sad, but I had to take him off. Skill-wise, he's definitely top 10, but I'm taking him off just because there's other guys who are doing more than him that are more worthy of that spot. So it is what it is there. So Yamanaka comes in at number 7 with the second most title defenses in all of boxing. Number 6, we have Manny Pacquiao. I know a lot of you guys are like, well, Manny Pacquiao is not a pound-for-pound fighter anymore. Manny Pacquiao is the definition of what a pound-for-pound fighter is. The guy who's moving up weight classes, beating the best fighters. And look, to be honest with you guys, I think when we look at who should be fighter of the year in 2016, there's only really 3 guys off the top of my head, maybe 4. But I'll say 4. There's 4 guys who I feel have a legitimate argument to be known as the best fighter in boxing, and maybe 5 depending on how you look at World Kovalev. But 4 guys, those being Carl Frampton, Roman Gonzalez, Manny Pacquiao, Terence Crawford, and if you think Kovalev beat Ward, which I do, Kovalev as well. Pacquiao this year, I know he beat Bradley twice already, and a lot of you guys are going to say, well, it's not a big win, but it still speaks to how great he is, that the fact that he went in there back early in the year, and he just dominated Bradley. Many would say that, I think Bradley even said himself, damn, bro, my mic keeps pausing. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but I might have to delete this video and do it over again at some point. But Manny Pacquiao, right? And I'm gonna go. Internet? Yeah. Manny Pacquiao he beat Bradley earlier this year. He beat Jesse Vargas recently, who was coming off the Saddam Ali win, had a lot of momentum. Some of you, I saw Kobe even pick Vargas to beat Pacquiao, and Pacquiao went in there and dominated him. So he's still a top flight welterweight. We just don't know how long that's gonna last for. And I think he's definitely warrants a number 6 spot. After Pac, number 5, and he stays at number 5. I got Terence Crawford, and who's fighting next Saturday, and he's fighting John Molina. I don't think that win does much for him as far as the landscape of where he might fall on this list or any list, because John Molina is looked at as a massive underdog in this fight. But Terence Crawford at number 5 is definitely someone who has shown the ability to move up weight classes. He beat Ricky Burns. I mean, regardless of how you feel about the rehydration, which was crazy. He rehydrated to 152 against Gamboa, but he beat Gamboa. First guy to beat Gamboa. Stopped Hank Lundy, made that look pretty easy. Stopped Delorme, made that look pretty easy. Beat Victor Postal. I thought he made that fight. I thought that was fairly easy for him, although he fought a lot more defensive than we're accustomed to seeing. Aside from that, we had just a fighter who's moved up weight class, and I feel as he goes from 140 to 147 that he will prove himself to be one of the most dominant fighters in boxing. He could one day take the number 1 spot. I really think Terence Crawford is that talented, and I can't wait to the day he moves to 147. But for him, next fights I'd like to see him in would be like, the winner of Granado's Broner. I think it makes a lot of sense. And that's really it. I mean, Amir Imam, if he wants to take that fight. But, I mean, people really aren't hiring Amir Imam. Business-wise, it does make a lot of sense. But I've always wanted to see that fight. So Crawford comes in at number 5. Number 4, and he was number 4 last time when I made this list, was Vasyl Lomachenko. He had a great performance against Nicholas the Axeman Walters. And, he gave the guy a boxing lesson pretty much. And it was rather easy for the guy. It showed a lot of great skills. The funny thing about that fight to me was when you go back and you watch it, when he would turn Walter, because if you know, Lomachenko will kind of throw a couple punches and then he'll turn you, and then he likes to throw the left hook when he's already around you. So when the left hook is coming, you're like this way, and it's gonna hit you like right around. It's gonna hit you right in the middle of your face if he's standing on the side of you. But if you go back and watch the fight, he never really got a chance to kind of time that and get it down, and he was just about to find the range when he turns you, and then he throws the left hook. So had he been able to kind of, land that punch a little bit more cleanly, I think it would have got ugly for Walters, and he would have really put the exclamation point on that performance. We might be talking a little bit differently about that fight, but nonetheless, I think Lomachenko has earned his stripes to be in the top 5 with the skills he's shown, with the fighters he's beat, such as Ramon Martinez, Gary Russell, and now Nicholas Walters. I know a lot of you guys would say like Gary Russell's a hype job, which I do agree with. But Gary Russell probably wouldn't have been exposed as a hype job if he didn't fight Lomachenko, because he probably would have had hand-picked opposition, and he would have kept us winning. And we would probably look at Gary Russell a lot differently than we do than if he didn't fight Lomachenko. So just food for thought there. And then my top 3 stayed pretty much the same. My top 5, 6 actually stayed pretty much the same. Number 3, I had Sergey Kovalev, who I obviously feel like I've said many times won the fight against Andre Ward. And look, a lot of you guys, a lot was made about how Andre Ward, or not Andre Ward, but how Kovalev's boxing skills couldn't stand up to that of Andre Ward's. So when he was able to go in there, he was able to hit him with a jab and get into a chess match and win a lot of rounds, not with his power, but with his jab, with his skill. It was the power that Ward felt because of the boxing skill that set it up. So I think Kovalev definitely beat Ward. And, for him, obviously, you would look at the Ward rematch as probably the fight you'd want to see next. But aside from that, I think for Cove, next fights would be probably Stevenson. But first and foremost, the Ward rematch has to happen. So I would work on getting that squared away. And, he comes in number 3. Number 2, I have Triple G, who a lot of people don't like. A lot of people say, well, who has he beat? When he's beaten some pretty good fighters, he beat like Martin Murray. A lot of people forget about Martin Murray. Golovkin beat Martin Murray. Martin Murray fought Sergio Martinez, knocked him on the canvas. Had a very competitive fight with him. A lot of people thought he even won that fight. So in my eyes, he beat a guy that a lot of people looked at as the lineal middleweight champion in Martin Murray. Martin Murray took him really far, further than pretty much everybody else. I believe Golovkin stopped him in the 11th round or something like that. So Golovkin, obviously his last win, he beat Kell Brook, and a lot of people criticize him for that fight. But he couldn't really get any fights with the big names in his division. So for next year, obviously the Jacobs fight, I would feel, has to happen within the first quarter of 2017. That's like a definite must for Golovkin. But aside from the Jacobs fight for Golovkin, I would like to see him fight Billy Joe, but we don't know if that's gonna happen, or Canelo. So aside from middleweight, I think at some point he's got to move to 168. I really do. I know his body and his frame is kind of already filled out and he's older, but it makes more sense for him to move up to 168 pounds than to continue fighting at 160, where number one, the talent isn't that stacked, and number two, a lot of the guys who are at the top don't want to fight him. Now, the only exception he can make is if he was in a fight like Andy Lee, which I've heard been thrown out there. I did a video on that. Or Matt Korobov, which I've been hearing about recently. Matt Korobov's been calling Triple G out. And Korobov at one point was looked at as like the future of the middleweight division. This guy was like a blue chip talent, Korobov. And a lot of people still want to see Korobov versus Triple G. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. It'd be Korobov's chance to revalidate himself. It'd be Triple G's chance to really just get another great name on his resume. And he has the most title defenses in boxing. And he's operating at a historical pace right now, and you got to respect that. So Triple G comes in at number 2, and he was number 2 last time. And number one, guys, it's not really too hard to figure out who number 1 is, because I pretty much say it anytime I make a video about him. But number 1 is still Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, a.k.a. the real TB, as I joke around and call him on this channel. But Roman Gonzalez, this year, when you look at what he's done, he's had the McWilliams Arroyo fight, and he's had the Carlos Cuadras fight. Now, you got to look at it like this, okay? McWilliams Arroyo, and that fight is kind of like the one Roman Gonzalez fight since he's been in America. A lot of people kind of forget about that fight, but that fight right there, that was the fight where people say, well, Roman didn't look impressive, because prior to that fight, he fought Sosa, who he KO'd, and he fought Valoria, who he stopped as well. So in the American consciousness, people were used to seeing Roman Gonzalez pretty much stop all of his opponents. So when we saw a guy in Arroyo who we saw was game, has Olympic experience, great amateur background, we saw him going rounds with Gonzalez, not necessarily winning and making them competitive rounds, but going rounds with Gonzalez. We wanted to discredit what Roman was doing, but Roman won at least 9 rounds of that fight. You can't give Arroyo more than 3 rounds of that fight. And while it wasn't the most sensational performance Roman's had, it was still very dominant. And Arroyo was a guy that when he fought Amnat Ruinrong, the Thailand fighter who was in the Olympics this past year, Ruinrong was the WBC, I believe it was the WB, I forgot which, he held one of the titles. And basically, he got robbed in Thailand, and he should have been a champion. So Roman beat an uncrowned champion and a top 5 fighter at flyweight at the time he fought him in Arroyo. And this is coming off of wins against Sosa, who's a top 10 fighter, and Valoria, who's a top 5 fighter himself. So those 3 wins. You look at the Arroyo win this year, and then he moves up with no tune-ups, right? No tune-ups. Fights a bigger man, a younger man, a stronger man in Carlos Cuadras. And while Cuadras later on in the fight had some really nice thunderous shots that hurt Roman Gonzalez, and that's where a lot of the swelling came from, Roman was able to, for the majority of that fight, back him up, be the aggressor, and just control who was fighting in what direction, which is why it's hard to beat him. When you can have a fight like Gonzalez who comes forward but doesn't get hit a lot, but you guys will say he gets hit a lot. In that fight, he did get hit a lot because Cuadras found the openings, and he had a little more power than guys at flyweight. Roman was moving up. So his body wasn't accustomed to the weight, but he still managed to go in there and win 8 rounds, 9 rounds, and got a decision. A lot of you guys said it was unjust. So you look at Roman Gonzalez beating a Royal uncrowned champion, top 5 fighter at flyweight, and beating Cuadras, moving up in weight to become a champion in his 4th weight class. Roman Gonzalez has a great case of fighter of the year. So that's my pound for pound list, and that's my pound for pound list. So I'll go through it again so you guys can. I'll go through it so you guys can remember what I said. On the cusp, we have Oleksandr Usyk, Errol Spence, Timothy Bradley, Jorge Linares, Anthony Joshua, James DeGale, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Carlos Cuadras, Kell Brook, Francisco Vargas, Carl Frampton, and Guillermo Rigondeaux. And these are the guys that are on the cusp and needs to do a little some more to get on the top 10. And then in the top 10, we have Andre Ward, Nayoa Inoue, Juan Francisco Estrada, Shinsuke Yamanaka, Manny Pacquiao, Terence Crawford, Vasyl Lomachenko, Sergey Kovalev, Gennady Golovkin, and Roman Gonzalez at number 1. So that's a pound for pound list. I'm going to get off, guys. I'm feeling kind of under the weather. My internet's not working really well right now, so I'm not really sure how this video is coming out. But regardless, that's a pound for pound list. You guys can leave yours down below. Who do you think is the best fighter in boxing? And yeah, just leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.